back to Stay Home, Make History. In this episode, you're going to be making your very own pikeman's pot helmet. This kind of soldier carried a very long spear-like weapon called a pike. A pikeman needed heavy armour to protect him from enemy fire on the battlefield. He wore this kind of English pot helmet on his head. The real thing was made of metal in two pieces, and it was joined together with a ridge down the middle. To make your own pikeman's pot helmet, you'll need a cereal box, a large one or two smaller ones, or a different kind of cardboard box, some tape of any kind, a pen, some scissors, some soft paper like computer or newspaper, and if you have one, a stapler will really help. Finally, a spare cardboard box or scraps of cardboard will be helpful. Now, in the 17th century, a blacksmith would make these helmets quickly and cheaply using two pieces of metal shaped like this. And he would have heated the metal up and then placed it over a bowl-shaped mould and then hammered it to make the shape of half a head. And then after having pushed out a ridge shape all along the bottom, he would have welded together the two halves of the helmet, leaving a ridge all across the top and sides for strength. If you look below this film, you'll see a link to a blacksmith making a helmet in just that way. Now, we are going to use cardboard for our helmet, and we need to find a way of making it bend and making it fit using our crafting tools instead of blacksmithing tools. Make yourself a template for the sides of your pot helmet. Here's mine. It measures 36 centimetres across, and at its highest point it measures 24.5 centimetres. Now you need to draw around your template on your cereal box. If you have a large cereal box, you should be able to cut two sides out of one box, and if you have a smaller one, you'll need two, one for each side. And hang on to any of the spare parts because we're going to use those as strips in just a moment. Now I've got my two sides of my helmet, and you can see that I've used the tab parts of the cereal box at the bottom of my helmet, and that's perfect because I do want to turn those up, and I am going to cut slits into those later, so don't worry about that. And now what you should have left if you've used a small cereal box is a strip at the top, and we want to use that now. Cut as many 7 centimetre wide strips as you can from your scrap cardboard. You may need to use some additional scrap cardboard for this. Join any smaller pieces together if you need to, and just make sure that the 3 strips each fit around your head. Now you can clear all your bits away, and you're left with 2 sides of your helmet and 3 longish 7 centimetre-ish wide strips. So we're going to make a strong base for our helmet with a ridge down the middle to fix our sides onto. And to do that, we're going to use our 3 strips. We're going to use 1 strip to go around the head, and then 2 strips to fix together and go over the top of the head. And we're going to do it like this. First of all, take one of your strips, try it on your head, make sure it fits nicely, and then tape it or staple it together. Now I'm going to take my 2 7 centimetre-ish wide strips, and I'm going to cut a chunky fringe along one side, and that's going to help this to bend. So I'm going to cut to about there, a couple of inches apart each one, and go all the way down, and then repeat on the other strip. Now I'm going to bend the fringe section up because that is going to become my ridge. I'm going to bend it up for each strip, and then I'm going to find the centre of my crown that I made, and I'm going to attach each strip to make an arch and I'm going to make sure the two strips meet in the middle. It can be easier to use a stapler at one end, but you can also use tape. Trim off any long pieces that you don't need. And so now you have the bones of the helmet with the part that goes around your head like a crown and this arch over the top that will become the ridge. And I'm going to tape my two fringe sections together nice and firmly so that I have a nice firm ridge to attach my sides to. Now we need to make the sides of our helmet, and we're going to take our piece of cardboard, and the first thing we're going to do is make this brim around the bottom of the helmet. So we need to fold about 1 inch up from the bottom, and then once again cut ourselves a little fringe, and that will help that brim to bend. Like that. And now we need somehow to make the cardboard into a bowl shape, just like a blacksmith would with his furnace and his hammer. But we're going to use scissors, and to do that we're going to cut some notches, quite deep notches, into the hat. So kind of identify the centre point of your helmet, and then on either side of there you're going to cut a long slot and then make that into a V shape. If you prefer to have a template, I'm going to show you one now. And what we need to do now is to make some little darts in our helmet to make it bend. So we're going to bring those two sides together and then tape them together, or staple them if you would prefer. So there's that one. And there's the other one. And now we've got something that looks a little bit more like the side of a helmet that we can fix onto our framework. So now I need to do the same thing with the other side. And you can see this is one where I've cut my cereal box out with the tabby bits, which is going to help me to create my brim. So I'm just going to fold that part up again, add some more cuts. Which will help the helmet bend. And now I need to cut my slots out. And tape that together in the same way. And now you have two sides of your helmet and your framework with your ridge, and you need to join these three parts together, and this is where a stapler is very helpful. You can do it with tape, but I'm going to try and staple it together. So I'm going to staple it to my crown, and the same on the other side. And I'm going to tape it together at the top. Now you have two sides of your helmet attached to your ridge, and I've covered the top part with quite a lot of tape, and I've also pressed some of the lumpy bumpy parts down to make it into the shape that I want it to be. And now all I need is to make a hefty brim to protect my pikeman's neck. So what I'm going to do is just press down that fringe a little bit so I've got the shape of the main part of my helmet, and then I'm going to draw around it on another cereal box. And that's the shape of the main part of my helmet. And now I want to make that brim shape which is really like a big oval. Like that. And now we just need to cut that out. To cut out the inside of my brim, I'm going to fold it in half and make a cut so I can push my scissors in and then cut that out. And I'm going to make sure that I don't cut right to the line, just in case. I can always make it bigger, but I can't make it smaller again. So now we're going to push our brim down over the top of our helmet. I need to just cut that out a little bit larger. There's our brim, and underneath we have our tabs all ready to secure it down, and I'm going to stick that down. You can use either a stapler or some tape. So here we have our finished pikeman's pot helmet. Now you can cover the whole of the outside of this with strips of tape and then paint it. You could use PVA glue and strips of newspaper and paper mache, both the top and the bottom. Or you could use tin foil if you have some and cover it with tin foil to make it shiny. Or you could leave it just as it is. So here's my finished pikeman's pot helmet. I covered the whole helmet with strips of newspaper glued down with watered down PVA glue, and then I painted it with black and then a little bit of silver paint. I've also added these rivets to the side of my helmet. I happen to have some split pins in my craft box, and I'll show you how to add those now. It does make it look really authentic. The easiest way to add these rivets is to take a lump of plasticine or blue tack and a very sharp pencil, and put your soft blue tack or plasticine behind the place where you want your rivet to go, and then push your sharp pencil in to make a hole, and then push your split pin into the hole and bend back behind. So now my helmet is ready for battle.